Hey everybody, Dylan here from the Tech Dork Times, and this is our roundup of our favorite games on the Xbox Game Pass this month. But if we're just meeting for the first time, then my name's Dylan, and I want to welcome you to the Tech Dork Times, a place for dorks from all walks of life to celebrate gaming, tech, and all things awesome. Thank you so much for stopping by, and let's get into this video. So as always, there are timestamps in the description box below, so if you don't want to listen to me introduce this, then you can jump right to the picks, although they are just pick 1, pick 2, pick 3. I can't give everything away. There's got to be some element of surprise. Surprise! This is a segment that I'm very excited about. I want to spend some time getting to know the Xbox Game Pass because it's a service that I've been using for a really long time now, at least a year, but I don't think I've gotten enough out of it. I think I could really be maximizing that much better than I am right now. And maybe there's other people out there, especially for casual gamers who just have no idea where to even start with this huge list of games. That's what this series is hoping to help people out with. I think that's enough of an intro for this video. The list is not in any particular order, but I have them numbered. So with that said, let's get started with number 1. At number 1, we have The Outer Worlds, a sci-fi RPG from Obsidian, who also did Fallout New Vegas, so this feels like a spiritual successor to that game. I tried this game once before and I didn't really get into it, not because there's anything wrong with it. I think I was just distracted by other games, but I recently sat down to start this over from the beginning and I can't stop playing. I literally had to stop there for a second and just think about it. This game is an awesome mix of gunplay, RPG elements, awesome characters, and a tongue-in-cheek story about corporations and corporate greed and all that good stuff. My favorite thing about this game is that it really doesn't take itself too seriously, but you can tell that the developers put a lot of TLC into this game. So even though it's a little bit lighter, there's a lot of humor introduced in the game, it's taking all of the systems very seriously, so it's still super satisfying. Like any good RPG, it starts off with you in cryosleep, waking up 70 years after you were supposed to in the middle of the Halcyon system. Your ship was sent away because there were too many people in the system already and they needed to cut some numbers, so they just were planning on keeping you in cryosleep indefinitely. But there's like a renegade guy who comes in and rescues you, and it falls on you to save the universe. Maybe not the universe, but the system itself from corporate greed. So the game starts off very typical in RPG fashion. You get to create your character, and then you get to allocate all your skill points and decide what kind of character you're actually going to be role-playing as. That is also one of my favorite things about this game, is that there is a system in place that is deep without being cumbersome. It seems very accessible for someone who feels a little overwhelmed by RPGs and just wants to create a character how they see fit without having like a million numbers to have to juggle. I would say this is a perfect RPG for RPG beginners, for people looking for role-playing elements, and a true RPG without being cumbersome. The bottom line is The Outer Worlds is an awesome sci-fi adventure with role-playing elements and a perfect stepping stone for anyone looking to get started in the role-playing game universe. Number 2 is Crosscode, a game that is the definition of an indie gem. For those of you that don't know, it is a top-down pixel graphic RPG set in a fictional MMO universe. Huh? I know, it sounds crazy and like it has way too many ideas going on for it to work, but this game, it works. Crosscode is a great blend of really fast, tight combat, especially in a game that's pixel art. So think of like the old Legend of Zelda games, that sort of feel. Combat in this game feels amazing, which is crazy considering it's just this top-down pixel graphic game. But the melee attacks, the ranged attacks, your special abilities, everything works so well and is mapped so well that the combat is one of the highlights of this game. But even if you're not a big fan of combat, there is an excellent puzzle system in this game. So the general setup of Crosscode is you are an amnesiac player in this game. You can't remember who you are, your character can't even speak in the game, and you slowly try to unravel your memories as you work your way through the main quest line of this massive multiplayer online game. You end up teaming up with a bunch of different colorful cast of characters, a la any good RPG, and you find yourself having to go through all these different dungeons to work through, like I said, this main quest line. And each of these dungeons is a mix of combat and puzzles with a huge emphasis on puzzles. Let me tell you, the puzzles in this game are fantastic, and I don't want to say too much about the system here because this game is really best going in completely blind. But the puzzles, the combat, everything works so well here. So if you're looking for something a little off the grid, not a big AAA game, maybe you're a big fan of pixel art or just love MMOs. For me, the great thing about this was it scratched a nostalgia itch for games like Zelda or World of Warcraft. The game has some great nods to MMO style games in general, and it's just a fun walk down memory lane. I will say, even though this is an action RPG, there's minimal customization in this game. Yes, you have skill trees and branches that you can explore, which will give you a bit of customization in your playstyle, but you are stuck playing the class of the character that is the main character, and there's no customization of how you look or anything like that. So just keep that in mind if this is something you're thinking about trying. Other than that, this game's great because it's a really small download, so you can be up and playing it probably within the same night you start downloading it, depending on your internet speeds. The bottom line with Crosscode is I highly recommend it if you haven't played it, and it's a perfect game for a system like the Xbox Game Pass because it's a game that maybe wouldn't get a lot of coverage otherwise and people wouldn't want to spend money on. But now that it's on this service, you can try it out risk-free. Number 3 on the list is Dead Cells, a 2D platformer, roguelite, action-adventure game that I did not think was going to be for me at all. I don't think Dead Cells is an unknown game by any stretch of the imagination, but it was something that I really was unfamiliar with because I'm very intimidated by any sort of roguelike game. And for those of you that don't know, a roguelike is any game where each time you play through the main game, if you die, you go right back to the beginning. It gives me anxiety just thinking about it, but I will say Dead Cells is blowing me away. I recently did a run where I almost beat the game, and I understand the hook of it now. This is probably a game where you are definitely going to need to expand your horizons a little bit if the roguelike thing intimidates you, but if you go into it knowing that you're going to die every time and have to start from the beginning, that's where the magic really starts to happen. I plan on making a Dead Cells beginner guide at some point because I think this game should get into the hands of more gamers, especially casual gamers who are intimidated by the roguelike fashion of it. So for those that are unaware, Dead Cells follows you through this castle as you're trying to get to the end goal, which I won't say what it is because spoilers, but you are going through and picking up new gear, you are collecting cells, which you can use to upgrade your abilities so that every run gets a little bit easier and you get a little bit stronger. But most of it is about resetting from the beginning. Like any gear you collect or a build you're moving towards, that completely resets when you start over. But what's really cool about this sort of game that I hadn't considered before playing it is that every time you start over, it's a chance to try something different. So you're always experimenting, you have the freedom and flexibility and in some way the permission to just try a bunch of different things because you're gonna die anyways, you might as well just have fun with it. If you are a fan of RPGs or even like a Diablo style game where you collect loot and you feel yourself getting more powerful, this game is absolutely for you. And the cool thing is, even though there's no classes, you do have different colored weapons and equipment. So there's purple, green, and red, and you can choose which one you want to specialize in, or you can specialize a little bit in each of them and see how that works out, though I find it's better to maximize one rather than do a little bit of each of them, but that's for another video. The bottom line is this is like Diablo, but if when you died, you start from the very beginning again. And as terrible as that sounds in a lot of senses, there is a freedom in that, there's an excitement in that keeps me coming back to this game. Also, what's great is that it's very just pick up and go. Each run will maybe last you like 30 minutes. I don't think the game is any longer than 30 minutes because I was almost at the end at like 23. So it's really, really arcadey and easy to pick up, but hard to master. Easy to pick up, hard to master. Dead Cells. If you like max and mining gear, you like RPG elements, but you just want something you can pick up quickly, play, and put back down, Dead Cells is a game you should absolutely check out. Coming in at number 4 is Middle-earth: Shadow of War. This is a sequel to Shadow of Mordor, which was a huge sleeper hit when it released. It was basically like Batman Arkham Asylum or any of the Arkham games, but in the world of Lord of the Rings. And if that sounds badass, that's because it is. This game's combat system will be instantly familiar for anyone who's played the Batman games. Just put orcs instead of thugs, and you understand exactly what this game is. But if you picked up Shadow of Mordor but never picked up the sequel because you heard all the bad crap about microtransactions and all the controversy surrounding that, now is a perfect time to jump into the game. The devs have fixed any of those issues, and the game itself takes all the systems from Shadow of Mordor and makes them better. The highlight of this game, and one of the game-changing features that this game introduced, was the Nemesis system. The Nemesis system is basically a game design where the bad guys start to adapt to your playstyle, and if they beat you, they actually get stronger. And the way that that plays out in this game is really cool. But yeah, there's so much here to experiment with and to iterate on and improve upon in this game that I highly recommend if you enjoyed Shadow of Mordor, or if you're just looking for a really good action-adventure game with some light RPG elements, pick up Shadow of War and give it a try. I think you'll really like it. So one of the cool things they added to this game is a new loot system. So you have 5 different slots for your sword, dagger, helm, coat, I don't know. The point is you have 5 slots and you can collect gear throughout the world and improve your gear, so there is a little bit of a loot grind in there thrown on top. But at the end of the day, this is a combat-focused action-adventure game with some light RPG elements, as I said, so it's really great for anyone looking for a little taste of loot grind / skill progression, but really you just want to focus on combat and enjoying an action-adventure game. If you enjoyed the Batman games, Shadow of Mordor, or even the newest Assassin's Creed games, this game should absolutely be on your radar and you should definitely download it, like, today. Coming in at number 5 is one of my personal favorites, Xbox Game Pass aside, and that is No Man's Sky. Now, No Man's Sky is a survival adventure set in a procedurally generated, near-infinite universe. No Man's Sky was met with a lot of controversy when it first released because the devs teased a bunch of features that were seemingly absent from the game in 2016. I will say I played the game at the time and I actually really loved it. The sense of exploration, the loneliness of traveling through space and finding new places but never finding a lot of new people. There was something beautiful about that to this day I still think about. But flash forward to 2020, the game has done a complete 180, made fans out of haters, and it's this fully realized space adventure now that I think everyone has to check out, especially now that it's on Xbox Game Pass. There is no risk. I can basically guarantee you that you'll sink at least 10 hours into this just because the survival loop is so fun. So the game starts, you wake up on an unknown planet. It's a random planet in this huge universe, and you have to get off the planet. Your ship is right beside you, it's broken, you need to scour, scavenge, halala. So what I love about this game is there's so much to it, but the game has this really great, about 30-hour campaign that teaches you everything you need to know over the course of that campaign. It's just a prolonged tutorial, but it's also really interesting. There's a sci-fi story there about this universe where everyone thinks they might be simulations, are trying to figure out how to stop the universe from ending. If that sounds confusing, it does have a bit of an Inception vibe to it, but it's kept my attention through my whole 40 hours of playing so far, and I can easily, I know, sink at least another 40 hours into the game, because there's features to this game that I haven't even gotten to yet. Let that sink in. If you are looking for a game to get completely lost in, to explore and customize like never before, No Man's Sky is an absolute essential. Go download it right now. Did you do it? Also, I don't know if people know, but there's a whole new multiplayer section to the game now. So there's this thing called the Nexus, and you can go in and play with your friends and go on missions together and build bases together. It's never been a better time to start playing No Man's Sky. So just do it. So obviously this isn't an exhaustive list. I'm not saying these are the best games on Xbox Game Pass. I'm just saying those are the ones I'm playing and really enjoying right now. I am super excited for Xbox Game Pass and the future of this service, so hopefully you found this helpful, and let me know what else you want to see me cover on Xbox Game Pass. I have recently pivoted the Tech Dork trials, so now I'm only going to be trying games on Xbox Game Pass using the little randomizer at the top for Xbox Game Pass. For those of you that don't know, you can hit that randomizer and it just picks a random game and tells you to play it. So that's what I'm going to be using to decide what every episode of the Tech Dork Trials is going to be covering moving forward. So I want to start doing more coverage of Xbox Game Pass because I think it's a really great service that doesn't get enough highlights on YouTube or blogs or whatever. So let me know in the comments below, what would be helpful to you? What would help you maximize your subscription to Xbox Game Pass? Let me know any sort of topic ideas. So far, I want to start doing best of genres on Xbox Game Pass, so best RPGs, best shooters, blah, 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 blah. And then also more coverage like this. What are the games I'm playing on the service every month? So keep an eye out for a video like this every single month. I don't think I need to do it more than once a month, but I will keep posting these if you guys like them. And yeah, other than that, let me know what your favorite games on Game Pass are. What are the games you are unable to put down right now? Games that you think other casual gamers would love. That's about it for this video. If you liked the video, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We post game guides, reviews, spotlights, and we're going to be pumping out a ton more Xbox Game Pass content, so keep an eye out for that. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay dorky.